Hello everyone, it's your girl Linda. Welcome to season 2 of my show Champagne Talks. And today we have an amazing guest that will take us through to an inspiring and empowering subject. The title is SEN, which means Special Educational Needs. Kindly help me welcome this beautiful lady of mine, Justina. You're welcome to Champagne Talk Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. And honestly, I can't wait for this topic. This subject is amazing. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's talk about it. Okay, so the subject is special educational needs. Can you explain the subject a bit more?
Yeah. So special educational needs talks about any barrier that a child experiences that stops them being able to access the curriculum and their learning. So primarily it falls under disability. So if your child has any form of disability or learning difference, they may be classed as having a special educational need because they need additional either resources or strategies to support them to access their learning that maybe other children don't necessarily need.
Okay. And with the special educational needs, you said the points that you stated there was family being aware of dyslexia, autism, and ADHD.
Yeah.
Now, the question I want us to talk about in this regards is, what is ADHD? Can you tell us what that means?
Yes. So let me take it right to the beginning. So we have a term that probably many people have now heard of, but I'm not really quite sure what it is, and it's called neurodiversity. So neurodiversity, what that means is that the neurons that make up our brain are diverse. So we have different brains. Our brains are made up in different ways. And what that means is we learn differently and we process information differently and we interpret things differently. Now, under the umbrella term of neurodiversity is ADHD, autism, dyslexia, dyscalculia, Tourette's, lots and lots and lots of different labels, let's say. So ADHD is one of those labels, stands for attention hyperactivity disorder. And traditionally, it's a label that has primarily been used for boys because it says it in the name, it's about hyperactivity. Now, what we've come to learn over the years is actually that title really isn't appropriate because in girls, the hyperactivity is not physical, it's mental. And so there is a lot of thoughts going on. So some people have described it as when you have your laptop or your computer or your phone on and you have lots of open tabs, it's like that in your head. There's lots of open tabs in your head. Your thinking goes from this to this to this to this to this. And you're always constantly thinking. But it also influences and affects how you develop relationships with other people, how you manage your emotion. So there can be extreme responses to emotions, how you interpret instruction, how you process information. And no two people are the same. So you may have ADHD and you present in a particular way, but my presentation may look really different.
Be different. Yeah.
And it's really important that we understand that that term diversity is key. There are differences. We are all different and we're made up differently.
Yeah. Because when I kind of look into that, some of the things they put out there was they can be forgetful. That's one of the signs.
Yeah.
And then obviously difficult following instructions. Yeah. And then even understanding what they read. Is it lack of understanding whatever they read at school or something?
Yeah. So no, it's not a lack of understanding of what they read, but there is difficulty in information processing in that, ADHD people are very easily distracted because there's so much going on in their head. So very easily distracted. And so then that impacts on the information that you hold, because if you're not focusing on what's being said or what you're reading, then you can't retain that information. In terms of difficulty reading and writing, that's more dyslexia.
Okay, all right.
That has difficulty reading, writing, recognizing letters, sometimes turning letters the wrong way around or writing them the wrong way around.
Not remembering,
things like that. So I think the most important term to remember is neurodiversity, because that it covers so many things, but it just means that our brains are wired differently, and then that therefore how we do things looks different.
Wow. Okay, that's good. How can family with special needs children get support? How can they, you mentioned that there's support, they should speak to someone,
Yeah.
which is good.
Yeah.
So how do they go about it? Where are the supports that they can go?
Yeah. So that's a really important question. So let's start from the younger children and work our way through. So when the children are younger, you'll have a health visitor or access to a health visitor. They're a really good source of support to go and talk through. Parent and child groups, children's centres are very good sources to go and get support. Every local authority has a telephone number where you can call and ask any question in terms of where you can go and get help, what groups are running. So be aware of that. Phone your local authority and say, look, I have a child, this is their age, I want to know what support is available for them, and find that out. If your child is already in school, then ask to speak to your child's class teacher. And if your class teacher is not able to support, every school has a person with a title called Special Educational Needs Coordinator.
Yeah.
SENCO. Ask to speak to the SENCO, and tell the SENCO what your concerns are, what your worries are, and then they can take it from there. Also, the internet is an amazing space for getting information.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's
somebody say Google is our best friend.
Honestly, Google
it. Your very paddy friend.
I'm really worried about my child because my child keeps biting.
Yeah.
Google it.
Yeah.
You'll come up with support groups.
Yeah.
There are parent online groups. There are pages that specifically speak to that on Instagram,
and
TikTok,
that's
Facebook.
why that's the reason of this show as well. Like, we are talking about it, someone watching the show now will pick information straight on.
Yeah.
So every this show, like I said, is about empowering people, inspiring them, people getting information, because at times people are going through certain things, but they don't know what to do. They don't know how, even if maybe they've had there is support, they don't know how to kind of get that support, where they will go, who is going to help them, and then they will just leave it and things get worse. So
absolutely.
That's why this show is there, and that's why it's for young people, their families, and well, everyone in general, but it's just centered, the audience is young people and families. So I really am enjoying this subject, and I hope that all of them is going to enjoy it as well. So yeah, you carry on. You were on the support?
So I think one of the things that I would really like to stress to people is that parenting is a really hard journey.
Very. Tell me about it.
As a parent, you are constantly worrying, am I doing the right thing? Have I made the right decision?
That guilt.
And that guilt sometimes makes us not seek help, because we just think we're doing a really bad job and we just keep trying harder. But actually, sometimes there may be real things that are happening. That means you need external support. And not all of us are growing our children in an environment where, they have the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Not all of us have a village. Some of us are very isolated. And so therefore, it's really important that you connect with other parents to see, how your child is doing and what's happening with them. And once your child enters school, sometimes what we find is, you have concerns about your child, but the school doesn't. The things that you're seeing at home, the school isn't seeing it. That doesn't mean what you're seeing is incorrect or it's not something that you should seek further support in. It just means that your child, some of the things that they struggle with at home, they may not struggle with at school because it's a different environment. And there's different expectations. So don't be put off if you go to see your SENCO or your child's class teacher and they say, actually, no, we're not concerned, we're not worried, they're getting on fine, we're very happy with their progress. Don't take that as right, then I don't need to do anything. Because if they're struggling at home, then they still need that input. And so it's for you as a parent to become your child's advocate. And an advocate is just somebody that speaks up on the behalf of somebody else. So you become your child's advocate, and it's really important that you are able to say, but actually, I know that in school, this is not happening, but at home, this is happening. And once they are outside of the school environment, they're going to need help with this because they're not going to be in school forever.
All right. So you've mentioned quite a lot of things on the support, how they can get support, which is good. Now, another question I want to ask is, what are the signs like? What the signs the school can identify if a child has things like that, or the signs parents should look out for so that they will be aware, okay, this is happening, then I have to look for support. And I know, like you mentioned before, the environment, people that have it, they might kind of behave differently because of the setting or the environment where they are. So if you can explain to them, the signs, both in school, at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a question that's often asked of me, and it's a really interesting one because when we talk about neurodiversity and the fact that our brains are wired differently,
Yeah.
what that means is that there is no one set rule. However, when it comes to diagnosis, there are criteria that the professionals will use to assess if a person meets that in order to get a diagnosis of autism or dyslexia or ADHD. Now, some of the people like to call them red flags. Within the community, we don't call them red flags. We say areas of concern.
I love that more better.
Because what we have to get away from is the idea is that there's something wrong with a particular group of people and they need to be fixed. It's not that there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
They are different.
Yeah.
And it's only when it comes to everything else in difference, we accept it really readily.
Yeah.
So we have different food tastes. We have different music tastes. We have different clothing tastes. We come in different shapes and sizes.
That's why we're unique.
We're unique. We all accept that until it becomes about the brain.
Yeah.
And then when it becomes about the brain, everybody has to think the same and everybody has to do the same. And if you don't, then you're seen as something's wrong with you and you need to be fixed. Yeah. So autistic people don't need to be fixed. ADHD people don't need to be fixed. However, what does need to happen is there needs to be adjustments in order for them to function at their best. What we say is diagnosis is important, but it's not the beginning or the end. Knowing your child and knowing how they function, what works for them, what doesn't work for them, what causes them distress, what makes them happy, what their interests are, is so much more important than having a diagnosis.
Yeah.
But if you're going to get external support, you will need the diagnosis, And when it comes to school, the external support comes in a few different ways. So you may get additional assistance in the classroom.
That will support the child.
That will support the child.
Yeah.
You may need additional people in the classroom that will support the child, like a teaching assistant or a learning support assistant.
Yeah.
You may need very specific, targeted additional support. And then that's when you're looking at formal assessment. And we have what we call an education, health and care plan, EHCP. Now, years back, those of us that are a bit older, we remember these are statements, children who had statements in school, but they're now called EHCPs. They are legal documents that says this is what the school has to provide for your child in order for your child to access the curriculum and make progress. Yeah. And it sets targets and goals of what they should have achieved by a particular stage in their education, who's going to deliver that, how it's going to be measured, and what it looks like. With the EHCP comes funding to support the provision of those things. Now, in the work that I do, a lot of parents really struggle with this because, yes, their child has an EHCP that says X, Y, and Z needs to be done, but often due to cuts, lack of resources, lack of understanding, they don't get it, but they're legally entitled to it. And many parents don't know that. And so they accept that their child is being sent home, their child is being sent out of the class, their child is not making progress, their child is not making friendships, their child is continually being sanctioned because their behavior is not okay. Yeah. But they don't realize that actually those things are happening because the support the child needs is not there.
Yeah.
And because the support is not there, that child is communicating in the only way they know how, that they're struggling.
Yeah.
And so our job as parents is to speak to the school and be saying, look, this is what my child's plan says that they need. They're not having it. How can we get that in place? Because this is what they're supposed to have. And that's where a lot of us as advocates, that's where our role comes in, because we then give parents the information and the language they need to go back and speak to their child's school to say, look, my child is not making the progress that they should do and needs additional support. And this is what needs to be put in place for them.
Wow.
So when we talk about some of the signs that we would be looking for in children, a lot of it is around behavior.
Yeah.
And some of the things that we would class, or adults will see the behaviors in children and class them as just poor behavior, poor parenting, the child being naughty, are actually signs of an unmet need. And so it's really important that adults begin to look at why the
They're doing
child
it,
is behaving
like
like
that.
that,
Thank you. Yeah.
rather than just looking at the behavior and then
Judging, yeah.
punishing the behavior.
Yes.
Because if it's an unmet need, so for example, if I'm a child and I'm feeling really hot and it's making me feel irritated, and because I feel irritated, I can't listen to the instruction you're giving me. And you're telling me that I need to go and put my pen and my book in the tray, but right now I'm really hot
yeah.
and I'm irritated, and you keep telling me things, and so I'm going to get frustrated, and so in my frustration I'm going to throw the book across the room. You're going to punish me now for throwing the book across the room, but you haven't looked at the fact that actually there's something going on with me, and I haven't got the language or the communication to be able to tell you what's going on with me. And so I need you to just stop, not punish me, but ask,
are you okay?
What's going on? Okay, that's not like you. Okay. And also at that time, you're not going to be able to get me to, why did you do that? Why did you do that? It's really unacceptable. You need to go and pick that up and say sorry and go and sit down. I'm already upset. So all you're doing is just adding to the upset. Yes. So it's really important that we look at why the behavior is happening.
Yeah.
But also, if you understand that particular children, actually, I've noticed that when it's lunchtime and it gets really noisy in here, they cover their ears and they can't cope with the noise. So when that happens, he throws the chair. Yeah. And then he gets punished for throwing the chair, because that's really dangerous. You're going to hurt somebody. Yeah. But it's for the adult to look at, actually, I've noticed that there's a pattern. Yeah. And it's when there's a lot of noise, this behavior happens. Yeah. So actually, let's look at what we can do to change the environment so that this behavior doesn't happen, and then see what happens. Yeah. And if we start to think of behavior in that way, then we stop punishing children, and then we find ways of supporting them. Yeah. So children will communicate their unmet needs in sometimes really unacceptable ways. They might bite, they might shout, they might fight other children, they might throw things, they might scream, they might run away. They may have a meltdown and just crying uncontrollably, and you can't comfort them. There are many, many different things that can happen. It's really important to look at the why of why it's happening, and then change that, because often it's things in the environment. Yeah. And it's the way that we are communicating with them. Yes. So if we can change how we do things as the adult, and we can change the environment, the behavior then can change, and then we can all make progress. Yes. So in school, parents might hear things like low-level disruption. So low-level disruption is things like rocking on a chair, tapping, calling out instead of putting your hand up, speaking out of turn, like talking during class when it should be quiet time, fidgeting, not being focused, not following instructions, having your name called out, your name called out once, you go on the board, twice you go on the board, 3 times you go into isolation. But if a child has ADHD, for example, which means that their attention is everywhere, all over the place, and you're going to punish them because they're not focused, then you're discriminating against them, because this is actually something that they cannot help. Yeah. They're not doing it intentionally to upset you as the adult. Yeah. They actually cannot help it. Yeah. So what we recommend is actually in your classroom, have things like brain breaks for those child. And that means that you have an agreed that once they've done a certain amount of work, they can just have a break for like just 2 minutes and then go back to the work. And just that little change can make the difference between a child escalating and getting to the point they have to be taken out of the classroom, and a child who's able to refocus and get back into work and do what they need to do. So in schools, it's very challenging because you have classrooms with a lot of students and maybe one teacher, sometimes if you're lucky, one teacher and a TA. Yeah. There is very little training that's given to the teachers around special educational needs and disabilities. Yeah. And so it's important that parents work in partnership with the teachers where at all possible, because there's things that the teacher might miss. But as a teacher, in your observations, as you're looking at the class, as you're doing your planning, you will pick up signs of actually that child's not going to be able to do that activity in that way. So I need to change it so that there's another way that they can do the same activity, but just in a different way.
Or that just child to accommodate them. We should try to accommodate
absolutely.
them. Yeah.
Or that child may find it really difficult when they sit at that spot in the classroom, so let me look at where else they can sit that's a bit easier. Or I notice when that child is with another child, they're much calmer. So let me put them together. Or actually when that child sits with that child, there's always a problem.
Figure out what will work for him or her.
Absolutely.
And then just get it done, just to help them, support them.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's very interesting. Honestly, like I said before we start, I know I'm gonna enjoy this subject. And I know people out there are going to enjoy it as well. Even you that are sharing the information with us, you enjoy it because it's just flowing. It's so nice. I like it. Honestly, I do. Is there any other signs that we have to look out for?
Okay, so as a parent, look at how does your child communicate with other children and other adults? How do they develop relationships? Are they able to form friendships? How do they manage their environment? So is there particular things that really stress them out? Is there particular things that really cause problems for them that you're aware of and you've had to make adjustments? And also, how do they process the world? Is there particular foods that they won't eat? Are there particular textures that they prefer and I don't prefer? Are there particular smells that can cause them to become quite distressed? And when I say about the eating, all children have preferences of what they eat and what they don't eat. But in a neurodivergent child, they're very rigid. They're there's things that they absolutely will not. Particular colors, there are some children that all of their food on a plate has to be separate. So for me, with an African background, I take something like rice and stew. So, some children, you serve up the rice and stew and maybe some salad on the side, that'll be fine. There'll be other children that stew cannot touch that rice.
Yeah, fair enough.
Cannot touch.
Yeah, they prefer the white.
Yeah. If there's gravy, it cannot go all over. Things that are look messy, all the food has to be separate.
Yeah.
When you see things like that, you observe it and you note it. And you speak to a professional to say, actually, I've noticed this about my child. Don't dismiss it and just think, oh, this child is just being too extra or just being too particular or you're just too troublesome. Because I think sometimes we run the risk of not getting the support our children need.
Yeah.
Because we just dismiss it and we just think, how about you? Why are you behaving like this? Why are you doing this? There is a reason. There is a reason they are doing it. And they may need additional help to address it. So don't dismiss those signs when you see it, and don't think that it's just the child being difficult. Look, investigate. I always encourage parents to keep a diary or even on your phone note. Just anytime you notice anything that you're concerned about, just write it down. So that by the time you go and see the professional, you can say, look, what I noticed was 3 months ago they were doing the X, Y, and Z, but now they're doing this. On this date, they were doing this. On this date, they did that. And you have all of your evidence there ready to tell. Because often when you get into the office with the doctor or the health visitor, you forget everything. And then you come out and you think, oh my gosh, I didn't tell them this and I didn't tell them that. But if you've been keeping good records, you can just read it all. And that's so much more helpful.
There is this, somebody that I know. And at times, let me say this before I carry on. At times when you tell people, they don't accept it, like is a concern. They take it like maybe you are judging that their child is not,
Yeah.
But I wanna tell parents, because at times we don't know everything. Like I got to know about this a little bit, because now as you're talking, I'm learning. That's what this whole show is all about. Nobody knows everything. So I got to know about all these things a little bit because I studied it. Like I said to you, early year in uni. So is about special needs, obviously. So now this particular person that I know, I noticed that the son, when there is noise, he closes ear, and then high, shouting, jumping. He can even jump on the table, stuff like that. And I'm like, no, I think that we need to please ask.
Yeah.
Maybe if you go to school or something, check, because I don't want to use the word autism because that's the one of the signs. But check and see if everything is okay.
Yeah.
And it's Africa, by the way. He's like, no, that's how children are. They can be like that. That's okay if it's so. Then later on, to cut the whole thing short, the person came back to me and said, like, do you know that the school actually wrote to us that the boy is not doing well in school. He's kind of lacking behind. He doesn't even eat his food. He doesn't even want to get involved with other children. He just want to be on his own, loud, and the rest of it.
Yeah.
That is a sign of autism.
Yeah.
They made it very clear.
Yeah.
Based on that, he will need extra support.
Yeah.
Guess what? This particular boy is doing well. So the other day, we were like, can we do 1 + 1? And then this boy was asking me a question. My dear, the brain is not as active as his own. So when I didn't get the answer, some of the answers, he was laughing. He's like, auntie, you didn't get it right. And then he gave me the way, and then you will see him calculating with the hand, like straight away he give you the answer. I'm gonna bring him to my show because he's as old as, I think, about, is it 6 years? But he's so smart. But because now in school they've given him extra support, however they are dealing with him, but believe me, they've done a good job.
Yeah, that's great.
And the person is so happy that I brought it up. So what am I trying to say? At times when people kind of tell you something, don't push it aside. Don't be defensive. Don't get upset about it. It's not about judging the boy, but it's about, let's find out if things are okay with him, because even the boy's siblings are doing well. They don't have such things. And then it would be nice for us to kind of, like you said, speak to people, speak to the school, and they have people that are the special needs in school. So let them keep an eye, check, and then they will come out to tell you, yeah, there is, and then let's do this and follow them, because the support we are talking about, the school can't even achieve it without the parents. It takes two to tango. So parents also need to want to help their children, and then the school will, two of them will just get it done for the child. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not about judging anybody. But if there is a concern, just get on with it so that it doesn't get too, because if they don't correct it when it's younger, when the child grows up, it's difficult. You understand? Absolutely. Now you isolate the child from it doesn't feel right.
Because one of the things that we need to be very honest about is that there is a huge stigma around special needs, autism, dyslexia, ADHD, especially autism. There's a huge stigma, and for a lot of parents it's very, very difficult. Because one of the things I always say to parents is there is almost a bereavement process that you have to go through as a parent when you come to the realization that your child may be autistic or you get the diagnosis. Because when we carry our children, we're already dreaming for them. We know this is what we want for them in life. We want them to have this, we want them to have that. And then somebody comes and brings this word and tells you this word that everybody is very like, what is this kind of thing?
I know.
And then you realize that the dream of your child that you had, you have to change that dream, because the child you thought you were going to have, it's a different child. It's a different child. And they're going to do things differently to how you were expecting. So you almost have to grieve that vision and take on board kind of what you have. But especially within our communities, autism and neurodivergence have such a stigma attached to it. There are still, it's 2024, there are still people who believe that autism is a curse. Autism is something that you get because somebody has put a curse on your family. Autism is something that you can get rid of by taking them to the fetish priest. Autism is something that you just need to pray away. Autism is something that you've opened your mouth and spoken it onto your child, and that's how it's come about. And we have to dispel these things, because none of those things cause autism. They don't know what causes autism.
But you can still pray and still get the support.
You absolutely
can. Pray and get the support.
But also, what is the support that you're praying for? Because if you're praying for these things to be taken from your child, they're an intrinsic part of who your child is. It's how our brains are wired. See, you can't unwire a child's brain. But what you can do is you can put the interventions in place that helps them to manage things better. So with the right intervention, speech and language therapy, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, applied behavior analysis, so behavior therapy, play therapy, all of these things can help children communicate. I've worked with children who've gone from pre-verbal, as in they have no verbal communication. They can maybe communicate by pointing with their eyes or signing, or taking your hand and leading you to something, who've gone from there to having conversations like this. You know,
because of the support.
Absolutely, because of the support and the intervention that they get.
Yes.
There's also a really big area around diet. You know, diet has a big part to play. You know, I've worked with many families who have gone down the route of changing their child's diet, and in changing their child's diet, it's completely changed how they are emotionally, their speaking, their communication, their engagement. So getting the intervention in is really important, but also understanding that your child is beautiful. Your child is unique. You know, especially for us that come from a Christian background, if we truly believe the word that we study and we understand that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, then God has not made a mistake with your child.
Exactly.
He has not made a mistake. So because your child presents differently, communicates differently, behaves differently, doesn't mean your child is broken. And he's not less. You know, he's not less. So we need to celebrate, because they may not be really good in this area, but there's another area they excel in. So your young man that you're giving the example, obviously maths is an area that he excels in.
What do I even, scientific? I call him, there's a name I call him, you know, because he amazes me. Every time I'm around him, I'm so excited. I want to see him. He's so cute. I mean, he's perfect now. Like, absolutely
and maybe for
perfect.
him, if you tell him, put him on a football court and say, play football, maybe he can't do that.
No.
Or maybe if you put him to write, you know,
he knows his numbers.
Write an English essay, he may not be able to do that.
All the numbers.
But something else he can do, you know. So
the boy is good.
It's really important that you look at what is your child's interest, what are they good at, and work on that and build on that.
I think he likes to solve problems. Is it solving numbers or solving problems? Whatever it is. So he solves the numbers. You see him bringing, like, if there is pictures of some of the animals or something, and then he put them together to make it up to be elephant, and then he make this one to be whatever that picture is. So he's happy doing it. You can see the excitement. So when I buy him gifts, that's the things I buy. Because he want to put things together and let them form something in a word or a letter. So he's really good. I'm happy, honestly.
And the fact that you can celebrate him is beautiful. And that's what we need to do for all of our children. We need to celebrate them. And celebrate and not focus so much on what they can't do, but celebrate and focus on what they can do, because in building their confidence up, the things they can't do, they will be more confident to try in. You know, but also
show them love. You have to show them love. Love heals a lot of things. And when you show them love, they come close to you to, you know, kind of, they get attached to you. They won't be running away from you. So you have to, don't be like, go away, go and sit down. I'm tired of you. I go inside that room, lock the room, don't come out again. We have visitors. I don't want to see you downstairs. That means you are kind of ashamed of your child.
Absolutely.
Don't do that. It's not nice.
I've worked with families where a child, apart from going for doctor's visit, has never left their house for 5 years.
They should be inclusive, not exclusive.
5 years in the house all the time. They don't go anywhere apart from doctor's appointment, because one, the parent doesn't know how to manage the behavior when they're out, and two, the parent's really embarrassed. Because when they do come out, they're not
that's where the prayer comes in. Prayer is good, because prayer will help you kind of to know how you're going to manage the child, to do the right thing, patient. Because some of them, let me tell you something, when you have children and there's nothing, I mean, it's beautiful. Then if there is something, at times parents, the way I take it might not be the way another parent is gonna take
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
So nobody should judge them either. But the thing is, like what we are saying here, just if there is any concern that you're not sure of, just ask question, speak about it. Parent evening is good. When my children was young, I never missed any parent evening, because that's where you can kind of mingle with other parents. And another parents might be going through the same thing you are going through, and they've gone through it amazingly. So they will tell you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
when you don't, I'm not going to parents evening. I don't have time for that, my dear. Try and have time for parents evening.
Yeah.
Right now we're on hobbies. Obviously, you have some. So can you share what are your 3 hobbies?
Oh my gosh.
What do you like doing? What's your passion? What do you know, what interests you?
I like the fact that you said obviously you have hobbies. I actually don't have that many hobbies, to be honest.
At least you can have one.
I have what do I have? I do my hobby is community work. I do community work.
Okay.
So
like me, I love community work as well.
I like helping people.
Me too.
So I work with charities that are doing different things. So we have a couple of charities in Ghana that are setting up like community.
So one of your hobbies is supporting people.
100%.
And then outside supporting people, what's next? Do you like cooking? Do you like eating?
I love eating.
Eating too much is a hobby.
It's really bad. I really love
eating. Is it a
eating.
hobby though?
It is a hobby. It is a hobby. It is a hobby.
But it's a bad hobby.
It's a very bad hobby.
I have that bad hobby.
Yes. But I love going to I should become a food blogger actually, because I love going to new restaurants and new places, trying out food.
I think I'll join you on that. I don't mind escorting you when it has to do with food.
I love it.
Because me, I'm a foodie.
Yeah, I really love it.
I
really love like how just the younger generation are infusing things. So I love going to restaurants that are infused, you know, so African infused with Asian, African infused with Italian. Like I love things like that. That's really, really nice. I like walking. I like being exercise in parks and stuff like that.
So walking is good. So you need the fresh air. You know, walking is really good. It opens up your mind, your mental mindset. You think stress.
It's such
it releases a lot of stress. Walking is really good. You talk to yourself. You can actually hear yourself. Yeah, walking is good.
So that's good. And then I have a dog, so he's my hobby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have a dog.
You have a lot of hobbies then.
I know, right? So actually, yes, I do. I have a lot of hobbies. I didn't think I did.
But you didn't know about that. The show has
you've made me realize.
You see what the show does.
Yeah.
You have to be. If you have not been to Champagne Talk Show, please do that. You see, she has a lot of hobbies. So the next thing we do here on this show is game. This game basically is you know, a lot of people like to travel, and there's so many places to go. But at times you kind of, what's the name of this country? Oh my God, I'm gonna go. So what this show does to help you remember the names, you know, kind of figure out whether you want to go there or not, or maybe put it on your calendar or something. Notes, so maybe next year I'm gonna go this way with my kids, family, whatever. So that's what the show do.
Nice.
So, and how does this work? So I'm gonna bring this here because now we're on a show time. These ones go back. So you're gonna give it a big spin. As big as you like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's not big, but okay. Then when it stopped, glue your eyes to any of the country that is, you know, you're actually saying.
See, yeah. Okay.
Well, that's number 1. So you do like 3. I'm gonna do as well.
Okay.
And then before we start, is there any country in your mind that you feel like you want to go, you like to get here? Don't tell me.
Yeah.
Later you tell me.
All right.
So you have one. Okay, good. So give me a nice pen. Good.
Should I put my finger on it?
Yeah. What did you say? What's the name?
Mexico.
Ah, that's nice. Mexico. I've not been there, but I would love to be there.
I've been to Mexico. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, you've been before?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I've not. I would like to go there.
Definitely go.
I've heard so much about Mexico. Okay. Another one. Second one. No, that's not nice.
Is it?
Yeah. Yes.
Ooh. Do you know what? I should just say the first place I saw instead. I'm now looking. So it's Niger.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Niger is not bad.
Yeah, I've never been.
I've never been. Maybe when you're going, you let me know. I might escort you.
Ooh.
All right. The third one. That's a good spin. A very good one.
Ooh. Okay. I can see it, but I can't read it. Maybe you can help me. I haven't got my glasses on. So
Okay.
This starts with P.
Is it what, Costa Rica?
Is it
Which
Costa
one?
Rica?
Which one is it?
I'll take it if it's Costa Rica. This one. I thought
Is
it
that the
started
one
with
you
P.
saw?
This one, yeah.
Okay, Is it Panama?
Oh, Panama, yes.
Panama, yeah.
Yes.
Where is that?
Near Cuba, right?
That is Costa Rica around there?
Yeah.
Maybe it's in the middle of it.
It's around there.
Around there.
100% would love to go there.
Is it like island? Does it sound island?
So no. So it looks like actually no, it does look like an island.
Okay, I've never had. Okay,
so I'm gonna go and do my research.
Okay, so the 3 countries that showed up.
Yeah. Mexico, Niger, Panama.
So which one was in your mind?
Hawaii.
You really wanna have fun. Oh my goodness. Yes. Hawaii.
I should have listed that as one of my hobbies.
Oh, okay. So I have one in my head. And since I've started this show, I've been, trying my luck to get that particular country. I've not. Okay. So maybe this season 2, I'll get to. That's not a good spin, but it's okay. We can manage that. Indian Ocean. Indian Ocean is it?
It's a place, right?
Is it?
No, it's in the ocean.
Oh, I can take Is that like Colombo?
Colombia.
No, Colombo. That's not beer. See it? It's my eyes.
I haven't got my glasses on, so actually I don't even know why I'm reaching out to the it because I can't see.
It's Colombo. That's not beer. There's no beer there.
There's
a place called Colombo, right? I know about Colombia.
Yeah, I've never.
So what's the bowl? Is it them or? See, there is there. What's that? Is there a bowl?
No, it is both.
Yeah, it's Colombo. I've never heard about that. I've never heard of Colombo before.
Put the glasses on.
Maybe it's a new kind of. It's there.
No, it is Colombo for real.
Yeah.
Next to Sri Lanka. Next to Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Okay. So Colombo is the place.
Okay. That's good. There's this show I watch is Colombo. That's his name.
Yeah,
that detective. I watched from the first series to the end. You can't get enough of that man. He can be very annoying.
I know.
Very annoying.
I know, but very clever.
Yeah. Okay. People's Republic of China.
Ooh.
Indian Ocean. People's Republic of China. They are taking me away from.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's not the one in my head.
Okay.
They were Greece.
Greece. Oh, Greece is beautiful.
That's my dream place.
Yeah.
I want to go there.
Yeah.
And I will be happy.
Yeah.
I've never.
Well, let's speak it.
Yeah.
From our lips
so I've
to
got
his
3
ears.
that I'm not sure of, but it's okay. I'll put them on my list, but at the bottom of my list for now. Yeah, obviously. So that's the end of the game. Did you enjoy it?
I love that.
Yeah, it's very simple, but it's cute.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's what I've got a place to add on to my bucket list now. Panama.
Exactly. Now, obviously, we've come to the end of the show. However, we're not going to finish this show without sharing up. And it's called Champagne Talk Show. Obviously, we have to sip champagne as usual. So we are going to cheers for being one of our guests and for the very amazing subject. Honestly, you inspired me. I learned a lot. And I hope everybody out there well.
Yeah.
Thank you for the information and cheers for good life.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. We've come to the end of the show. Thank you all for watching. And please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and give us some feedback. Thank you so much. See you some other time. God bless you. Bye.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Bye. Bye, everybody. See you soon.